Hello, Toastmasters and guests. I'm audible and visible. Great. This was back in mid of 80s and late 80s when my father had gone to UK for his PhD from University of Surrey. And my mother was raising us as a kids. We're here in Pakistan. So I still remember holding my mother's hand and going to a UBL branch, entering into a branch, a big branch, where all the Buddhas and the oldies bankers were sitting. I still remember the counter with the grills on that. So what my mother used to do, my mother used to go and she just wanted to get the check in cash. And this is the anecdote of my childhood. This check used to get encashed. First, she used to go onto the first counter, where she used to explain in detail why she has come to the bank. And I still remember it used to take good 5-7 minutes to explain the reason of coming in and getting that check encashed. So the first counter used to give a coin that she has to wait in a queue, and that used to be the number, the serial number as to when her turn will come. So that golden coin, UBL written on one face, and 11 number, I still remember that. So we used to take that coin and then sit on the sofa, far away from the counter. And then somebody used to call out that number. Number 11. Okay, then my mother used to get up. And I used to follow her. And then this is the second counter. And on the second counter, she used to present the check. And then she was again asked to go and sit and wait. So that individual on the second counter used to write something on the register. I think that he was recording the check number as to this check has been presented. And this is not the end of the story. Then later on, somebody used to call our name at the back of the counter. Again, one old banker wearing a tie and a suit, and that seat was behind those counters. So my mother and myself used to go on that counter, sit in front. That's a table, that's not a counter, and used to sit in front of that gentleman, the banker. Now the real challenge used to be that gentleman, that banker used to open a big register, and then he was tallying the ledger. He used to tally the ledger and used to see where is the account number. So on one page, I saw my father's name, Ghulam Nabi Campwala. That was the record of my father's account. And on that page, a big page, there was a record as to how many checks have been presented. And what is the balance? It took good 15 minutes for that gentleman to reach on that piece of a paper. Now, that person, that banker, was confident enough that this check can be encashed. Fine. He took out a red pen and scribbled something on the check and something on the register. And then we were told to again sit and wait. Now, the last part. Then the number was again called out from the third counter. And my mom used to get up, go to that counter, give that coin back, and get the cash, and we left the bank. This anecdote is all about what banking in Pakistan used to be back in late 80s and mid 80s. Now, can we imagine doing that banking in this era? Of course not. So how far we have come. Now, eventually, nobody, even myself, had not thought in my primary school that I will become a banker one day. So now, my banking career started back in 2002. So these 19 years, the banking has revolutionized from what it was and what it is now and what it was in my childhood. I joined banking in 2002 September, where the era had changed, where there used to be a call center, where we could get the balances by giving a call on a toll-free number. Yes, through a landline. The mobile had not come. The mobile had come, but there was a less usage of the mobile phone. And we used to get calls from the landline number, the toll-free number. And I was one of those online phone banking officers who used to take the call and say, Union Bank online, this is Ghulam Qadir, how can I help you? I want to know my balance. Okay. Sir, can I please have your CNIC number? I used to type that number. And then, sir, can you please press your TPIN number? The customer used to press the TPIN number. Your TPIN has been verified, and we are transferring your call to the online banking agent. Welcome back, sir. Your balance is 50,522 rupees. Anything else which I can do for you? No, that's perfectly all right. And the call used to get on. This was a journey of, I think, 12 years or so from what I was in childhood and when I entered into the banking sector. Now, at that era, in 2002, how the card system used to work and how we used to transfer the money from one account to another account. There used to be a check, a demand draft, and how difficult it was for a check to get cleared. The clearance within the city used to take 48 hours. And if the check is from outside the city, it used to take 7 to 10 working days. A demand draft could be created in a day. And then there was no mobile banking. You cannot imagine that there was a mobile banking. The credit card system, there was no online transactions. The merchant who has a POS machine these days used to give a call to the bank. I have received this American Express credit card. Can you please note down this number? The person over there, the authorization department, used to take the call and say, yes, please tell me the card number. Okay, this is card number. What is the expiry date? This is, okay. He used to do some transactional system. Please write down the authorization code. And then the merchant used to write down the authorization code on the coupons provided by the bank. And some gentlemen used to come after 4 or 5 days, collect those coupons, go to the bank, submit over there, and the payment on the merchant account gets credited after a month's time. That was the credit card process. There was no interbank funds transfer. We couldn't imagine that you have to write a check. There was no way out. You had to make a demand draft. And if any person had to give the salaries to his or her employees, yes, the only method was to give the checks. Now, what has happened now these days? Things have evolved. Things have revolutionized. Things have digitized. Things have automated. We are talking about paperless environment. We are talking about instant. The loan application, which used to take months. Now we are talking about the loan amount to get credit less than a minute. The transaction, the utility bill payments, all are at a touch of your fingers that you can do. Now let's take an example of credit cards. I just explained how the credit card used to work. Over a phone, the transaction used to be done. Now, what revolution has come into credit cards? The recent, the which every one of us will experience in next 2 or 3 months. Few banks have launched. HBL will be launching within a couple of weeks. So you don't need to carry two things now. A wallet, you don't need to carry this because it has your plastics. You don't need to carry these plastics anymore. Why is that? Because you will have a credit card in your mobile app. And how the transaction is going to happen? This is already launched in the developed countries, and we will soon going to experience it. How the transaction is going to happen? All you need to do is to show your face, your mobile phone gets unlocked, put it over there on the POS machine, the transaction will happen. It will get debited from your account and instantly gets credited into merchant's deposit account with the bank. It's all together this journey, how far we have come from how the banking was and how the banking is. Now the payments into the employee accounts. Every employer has now been provided with a portal. The accountant puts ID password and clicks a button, pay salaries. One accounts get debited several times and all the employee accounts get credited within a span of 30 seconds, maybe less. IBFT, interbank funds transfer, no need to write checks. No need to go for a demand draft. Go to your mobile app, make a beneficiary account and just put in your transaction password and it gets credited. 24 hours a day. The era which I'm talking about in my childhood, you know what the bank timings were? 9 to 1:30 only. The shutter of the bank used to get closed at 1:30 p.m. Those were the banking hours. Now, 24 hours banking timings are at your fingertips. So, what will be future? What are we going to see? More and more digital products, more and more convenience. What is the competition? The competition is all about technology. The bank, any bank who will lead in technology, who will give the convenient customer convenience, who will give everything on the touch, that bank is going to succeed and that bank is going to swap away the competition. The logo, the motto which HBL has these days is to become a technology-based organization having a banking license. That is how the employees at HBL are working now. I think the time is getting short, so let's open the forum for question and answers. Yes, Oban.
What are the specific challenges that banks have faced?
Okay, the specific challenges. The biggest challenge is cybersecurity. That is the main challenge. And all the banks at one point in time investing heavily on bringing these products. On the other hand, the banks are heavily investing on these cybersecurity softwares and consultations and people who can prevent these cyber attacks, so that the money of the customers are safeguarded. There are no transactions happen. Many firewalls in between. Recently, an incident happened at National Bank. There were 7 walls in between. The hackers, the Indian hackers, went up to the 6th wall, and the 7th wall prevented them to do any transaction. Not a single loss of money, not a single rupee was lost. So that is a bigger challenge. Secondly, maybe we might bring many technological products, but the creation of awareness. Third challenge is the financial inclusion, which is an altogether different subject. I can talk on a day and go on and go and go on that.
Toastmaster Asghar has a question.
Yes, Toastmasters.
Thank you, Toastmaster, for this, thought-provoking speech. I have a small question. You said that now loan can be passed within 1 minute. Did you use it, metaphorically or literally?
Launched it. I am the product owner at HBL. Back in October 2018, I launched it, loans by mobile app. So I also did a speech on that as well in the Toastmasters. So what is the process? We give loans to our existing to bank customers who have account with us. And specifically, we do some algorithms, churn out a list of customers who can be eligible and whom we can pitch this. So that system, whenever that customer logs in into the mobile app, gives a pop-up that you are eligible for a loan. Would you like to apply? So customer clicks on it, goes through 1, 2, 3 screens. That is the terms and conditions, where we can easily trap the customer of the terms and conditions and legal agreements. And once those are done, let me tell you, Toastmasters, that literally the amount ranging from 50,000 rupees to 3 million gets credited within no time. As soon as a third screen is pressed, I confirm. It gets an SMS, congratulations. Amount of 3 million gets credited into your account. And then you can always go back to the main screen at your mobile app and check your balance. The amount is there. So that's where the technology has come.
Toastmaster Mariam has a question.
Yes, Toastmaster.
Assalamu alaikum. Can you please explain the role of Islamic banking in the banking sector and how it has affected or maybe changed, or what impact it has on the society?
Okay, very good question. We live in Islamic Republic of Pakistan. That is the complete name of a country, where many believe, many individuals, many Muslims, many Pakistanis have a firm belief that riba, sood is haram. Okay, so they do not go to the conventional banking. However, there is Islamic banking which is rightly accepted by the Mufti Azam of the country and of many Islamic countries. It's just a thin line between a conventional banking and Islamic banking. I wouldn't call Islamic banking as a wrong banking practice. I would call both the practice as a correct. It all depends upon how you execute it. Let me give you an example. If we have to slaughter a goat, the process is same. You have to pick a knife and slaughter the goat. The only difference comes in that in one process, you are saying Allahu Akbar, and in another process, you are silent. So that is as simple as example of conventional banking and Islamic banking.
Sir, Islamic banking also follows CABO. Does this make any difference, as CABO is interest rate, is referred to the interest rate actually?
No, it does not make any difference because that's a cost of fund. That's a cost of fund which every bank has to pay. So it does not make any difference. It's the way it is executed through the documentation. So on the documentation, there is a complete process how the transaction gets executed.
Okay, sir. Right now, as you were saying, that in
ask the question, Toastmaster Mariam, I think I've answered your 2 questions. There are people waiting to ask questions.
Can I
Okay,
also
okay.
ask? Can
Yes,
I? It's a slight basic one regarding the banking industry, because I've till my knowledge, till what I've heard from people, what is this? There a certain age restriction for the management trainee position in banks? Because in some banks they are, in some banks they aren't, from the advertisements that I see.
Okay,
Can
that does not come in the revolution of the banking industry. So thank you very much, everyone. Over to you, Toastmaster.